Hi, and welcome to SacTown Talks. Today we have Jim Wyatt with the California Entertainment Machine Association. Jim, how you doing? And welcome to the program.
Thanks, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Jim, can you tell us a little bit about SEMA and what you do there?
Well, I'm the president of the California Amusement Machine Association, and we were organized about 7 years ago to promote, preserve, and protect interests of amusement, music, and other currency-operated or coin-op equipment owners and operators, as well as suppliers and constituents in the state of California.
Can you give us some examples of some of these coin-op machines that kind of are part of the association?
Sure. Everything from jukeboxes to video games, amusement or claw machines, gumball machines, kiddie rides. So you find these things at grocery stores, restaurants, game rooms, throughout the state.
Okay. And how did you get involved in the coin-operated business?
Right out of college, I actually got into vending as an operations manager, and been in it since then. So, decades.
Wow. And kind of right now, what is your involvement in the coin-op business?
So my day job is with a company called National Entertainment Network, where I run California, Hawaii, and part of Nevada and Oregon. And we have routes throughout the state and machines in thousands of locations.
Okay. Kind of, the economy, the state, the country, has all been kind of affected by COVID-19. Kind of what are the effects you have seen with these kind of shutdowns of businesses?
It's been a huge impact on our business. It's pretty much every one of our constituents in the trade organization has had their revenues drop overnight. So just as every restaurant closes down, our revenues stop. And then we're also a non-essential business. So where we're in places like Walmarts or grocery stores, we're also not servicing the equipment while it's there.
Okay. And do the governor's laid out kind of a 3-phase approach to reopening. Today, May 7th, is kind of a day he kind of rolled back us and allowed us to get into phase 2. Do you see yourself being able to kind of go back out there and in phase 2 and kind of start servicing some of these retailers that you're in?
I think we're prepared to, and as you mentioned, and I mentioned, we are in a lot of places where they're already operating with customers. We have taken many steps to prepare our employees and go through our own procedures to address COVID-19 and cleaning and sanitation concerns.
You said you operate in many different states. Kind of what kind of different feedback are you getting from different states in relation to kind of businesses reopening? It's been in the news a lot, different things going on in Nevada, even within cities like Las Vegas, where the mayor is pushing to reopen everything and the governor is going against that or overruling that. So it's a really, really mixed bag. Our operations in Hawaii were pretty much just completely locked down, just like California. Oregon, similar. Okay. Kind of, no telling when the economy might open up a bit more, but kind of what are some of the downstream effects you see down the road kind of for your association and its members and operating in the future?
I think there's a lot of risks. I mean, the obvious is just the immediate and substantial loss of revenue that's ongoing, and that'll be tough to recover. As we reopen, I think a lot of our members will have to assess whether they can bring all of their staff back, whether they're furloughed or laid off. For the majority of them are furloughed, but how fast the revenues will come back to support the operations at the same level.
Kind of have you explained it? You have different types of businesses within your association. Mm-hmm. A lot of them are thought of as kind of third party add-ons in existing businesses. Have you guys been talking with businesses that you're in on kind of your future place and in their business and how it might be operating under these kind of new guidelines?
Mm-hmm. We haven't had a lot of those conversations. A lot of the businesses are actually shut down themselves, or they're on the side of the groceries, for example, they're so consumed with their own procedures and sanitation and everything that's much more demanding operating their business that they really don't want to address that until it's right around the corner.
Right. And kind of, what are some of the things that, you would like to see take place to ensure that, your association, your members, I guess, have a good standing once this economy starts reopening?
Mm-hmm. I think we need to make sure that people are clear and understand that, we are a separate business. So if you go into a Denny's or a mom and pop restaurant and there's a claw machine there, for example, or maybe a brewery with a jukebox, that's operated by our members and by separate individuals, separate businesses rather than the location. So if those are shut down or not allowed to restart, then that's going to have a rolling impact not only on the revenues for the business, but the employees of the independent companies. Yeah.
A lot of businesses are kind of trying to think of ways to kind of, protect the public and kind of ensure that their things can be used. Kind of what are the things kind of you guys are talking about to ensure the public's safe to kind of utilize your machines in the future?
Sure. It's kind of the same thing that everyone's talking about. Our employees are trained to wear gloves, wear masks, proper PPE or safety equipment, thoroughly clean and sanitize the machines. All high contact areas are thoroughly clean. And I think we have the same issues on our machine that every kiosk in the front of a grocery store, for example, will have. And many of them are operating now, for like Redbox, for example, Coinstar, DMV kiosks. These are all in the front of a grocery store along with our machines.
Do you see in other states any other kind of issues with the coin-operated business that you're seeing kind of nationally, whether, other states are having issues with the coin-op business kind of coming back online with the rest of the economy?
Talking with other associations, we've heard from Oregon, for example. We've talked to Ohio, where there was talk of the coin-op machines being removed from locations as a step. And there was a lot of pushback from the industry in Ohio, actually threatening a lawsuit because Ohio is continuing to operate their scratch-off kiosks, so their lottery kiosks, which, as I mentioned, are pretty much right alongside our machines and should be treated the same way. So we want to make sure that we're treated fairly and treated the same, and we can take the same steps that they take in terms of sanitation and servicing.
Right. Have you heard any concerns, or do any of your members have concerns over the currency that goes through these machines and kind of issues with COVID on bills or coins? Have you heard anything in that aspect?
We haven't heard anything in particular or specifically. I think everyone's aware that money is not clean, and but it's everywhere. People have currency in their wallets, in their pockets. People are still doing business with currency, so it's not something special that impacts our business. And additionally, many of our machines now, as we're catching up with technology, accept credit cards, accept e-pay forms, so you can actually have contactless interaction on the payment side.
Yeah, it's one of the, I guess, joys or disappointments, depending on how you look at it. When my kids want to, play a certain machine, I can no longer say, "Oh, I don't have quarters, I don't carry change," as the Apple Pay makes it pretty convenient,
right,
to access those. So, thanks to you guys for coming up with technology to incorporate that in.
Yeah. Over the last couple of years, some of the latest technology will accept just about anything but Bitcoin. So.
That's probably around the corner.
Probably, yeah.
If you can get some Bitcoin. Kind of what are some of the other issues you guys are facing with right now in this shutdown?
I think it's issues that so many people in the state of California are facing. Whether it's unemployment, getting unemployment insurance, continuing your health insurance. This is for the employees and many of the small operators. For larger operators, where there is still some higher level staff on board, they're having to negotiate how to come back, dealing with state agencies, local agencies, protecting the industry, protecting the equipment and the livelihoods of their employees, and making sure that they can survive.
A lot of them talked about these paycheck protection program, these loans given out by the federal government. Have people in your association expressed any difficulty in obtaining these loans or any concern with taking them? I know I had some clients who got the loans and then kind of didn't know whether they'd open quick enough to use them, so returned them. So kind of there's a lot of uncertainty when you don't know when your businesses are going to be up and running and kind of taking on debt. Have you heard anything like that within kind of your association group?
Yeah, we've got about 100 members, and obviously we haven't surveyed all of them at this point, but many of them have applied, and it seems like a fairly mixed bag. Some have gotten it pretty straightforward. Some are still waiting, and some were pretty quickly, it was clear they weren't getting it. It seemed to have a lot to do with the banks that they were going through and how prepared the banks were to jump on it and have all the paperwork done quickly.
Yeah, I know it was a scramble myself. I put the first day, and I think I just got feedback this week. So
wow.
It's been an interesting topic. Kind of roughly, you said you had about 100 members up and down the state. Roughly how many like employees or how big are these businesses?
We vary from, for example, my region employs about 75 employees. There are other manufacturers that employ more than that, a couple hundred, and that's all the way down to local companies. Like there's one based out of Sonoma that I think has about 6 or 7 employees. So we have a pretty broad range. We represent not just the operators, but manufacturers and suppliers as well. So there's some pretty large suppliers based in California as well, plush suppliers and that sort of thing.
Have you guys been able to keep in touch with your employees to see if they're still intending on coming back to work, or are they finding different lines of work?
Periodically, and I know I can only speak for my business or my company, but we keep periodically in touch with them and help out where we can with negotiating the state bureaucracy and that sort of thing. And so far, they're all intending to come back. Most of the folks that work here enjoy working here. It's a hands-on job. It's just one of those things that kind of route businesses are one of those businesses that kind of get in your blood after a while. So, you're used to being out and about all the time. You like it. You don't like sitting.
Yeah. That's one thing I wanted to touch upon is, if you follow, you on Instagram, I recommend it to anyone who can. You're constantly moving up and down the state, up around the country, it seems like. How are you doing sitting still?
On the one hand, I'm really restless. I take a lot of walks, that sort of thing, but I can't wait to travel again. My region, I have employees from Calexico all the way up to Wairika, and one border to the next, as well as the other states. So that's one of the ways we manage the business, is get out there and touch them and see the clients that are spread all over the place. Otherwise, I travel out of the state with national organizations and that sort of thing.
You talked about how it's kind of uncertain when you'll be able to get, back to business. I guess, do you have any, contingency plans or, a 2-week plan of how to, kind of start ramping back up? I think once we have a hard date, then myself and some of the senior managers will come back and, in a way, we'll have to figure out where the fires are, find out where things are most urgently needed, check in with all the clients, find out what's happened. We may have some local or small locations that have just flat out closed. We've heard of a few of those that we can't get to. We've had requests for removals that we can't get to because the location is shutting down, restaurants. There'll probably be break-ins to equipment and vandalism, that sort of thing. So there'll be a lot of cleanup that we'll need to get a game plan together for prior to hitting the road the first day. Do you know roughly how many machines you have in California?
For my organization, like I said, thousands. We have over 500 in, say, Dollar Tree. We have a majority of Denny's. We have a lot of corporate accounts, so grocery stores, Walmarts, that sort of thing.
Okay.
So,
and something you just brought up is some of these businesses have closed. Maybe economics have changed. Kind of if machines had to be returned, what kind of effect would that have on your business?
That would have a huge impact and a huge cost. And, on a board call recently that came up, there are a lot of operators that, or even manufacturers that are saying that could push them over the edge into bankruptcy. Just having to find storage for all the equipment that is out there, have the logistics and cost to go and get it with labor and fuel and trucks and that sort of thing. So if there were any kind of widespread account closures or orders coming from the government side to remove the equipment, that would be devastating and just flat out close a lot of businesses.
Right. kind of a new paradigm is about to start. You said your members and you are, in Denny's and some restaurants. They're talking about, physical distancing, how are the restaurants going to operate in the future, and, space is going to be at a premium. Kind of what are some of your thoughts or objectives in kind of working with restaurants to ensure you guys can reach a synergy like you had in the past?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that one?
So basically kind of, with restaurants, having to space things out a bit, space is going to be a premium maybe in the future. Kind of what are your thoughts on having to deal with kind of this new kind of social distancing aspect of business operations?
I think it'll be kind of a client by client or even location battle, so to speak. I've been out just personally, out doing shopping and that sort of thing during the quarantine, and had a look at our equipment and other association members' equipment, and it's very often in the lobby of a restaurant, in the front wall of a store, and some stores have incorporated the X's on the tiles or what have you to make sure that people are maintaining the social distancing. So I'm not sure how it'll play out with that. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
It's a big unknown.
That's kind of where we all are. It's all a big unknown. How we'll operate in the future. Are any of the states you currently are in, are they opened up yet or opening up? Have you heard from Hawaii or Nevada on what?
No, Hawaii is still closed down. I haven't heard the latest from Nevada yet. I know Oregon is still closed down. So.
And, I'm hearing Hawaii that to go in there, you have to be quarantined for 2 weeks. Is that something you're willing to sacrifice to do to get there to operate those machines?
Right. Well, I have employees on the islands in Hawaii, so they're ready to go whenever we call them back. But I was actually scheduled to be there for some client meetings and other things in March, and I had to cancel that. And
you missed the whales then, huh?
I missed the whales.
Wow.
So I'll probably reschedule for October because there's a trade show that I usually attend in Hawaii in October. But we'll see if things are back to normal by then.
Yeah, let's hope so. Big uncertain. Well,
definitely.
Is there anything we missed or any topic you think you'd like to cover that we haven't covered yet?
I think our association is just mostly concerned that we're kind of an unseen business that people don't think about or take for granted, and it'd be very easy for us to be pushed aside and almost shut down or eradicated without anyone thinking about it, and that could throw thousands of people around the state out of work, and it also impacts state, county, city, their tax bases, as well as putting people out of work.
Right. It really teaches you how intricate the economy is and how, different.
It does. I mean,
services.
I have a fleet of vehicles, and I have a mechanic that most of my Southern California vehicles go to, and he's hurting right now because he normally sees anywhere from 2,000 to 4,000 or 5,000 in billing for our vehicles every month, and that's gone away for 2 months now.
Yeah, it's that kind of snowball effect. Just think
right
like that. That's interesting. All the miles you'd cover and all the something.
Sure, all my travel.
Yeah, your airline miles.
That's right.
Hotel stays. Yeah, that's interesting. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Jim. Can you kind of give out kind of your contact information or social media accounts should anybody want to get a hold of you or find out more information?
On Twitter, it's Biz by Day is my handle on Twitter. Instagram is SEMA Trade Association. And then there's a Facebook page, SEMA Trade Association, webpage, thesema.org. And then my personal, as you mentioned, is Wyatt Walks, which gets a bit more personal, not all business there. So
right. I highly recommend Wyatt Walks too. It's really great photography. So
thanks.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Jim, and have a good afternoon.
Thanks, Jared.
Thanks.
Talk to you soon.
Our co-dreamers.